Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage. Welcome to Europa Universalis V. This is a game that I've been waiting for a very long time. Anyone who's familiar with the channel will know that I played a heck of a lot of EU4 back a few years ago. I haven't really played much of it since. I kind of gave up trying to keep up with the amount of DLC that came out for it, which is a problem with Paradox Studios games. I'm sure it's not a problem for them. I'm sure it's very profitable, but yeah, for the average user, if you have one game and that's all you play and you can afford to get all the DLC for it, that's great. But if you like all of their games like I do and you play Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis and Hearts of Iron and Stellaris, trying to keep up with the DLC for all of them is an absolute nightmare. So here we are with Europa Universalis V, the latest game in the series that just came out yesterday. I've had a lot of people asking me if I'm going to be making a tutorial series for this. Yes, I am, but not until I've learnt the game first. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my hands on an early copy, so I'm sort of having to learn as I go. I have played through the tutorial. It mostly made sense to me, which is not surprising because I think if you have played EU4, the mechanics are similar enough that the tutorial will make sense. However, if you've not played EU4 or a Paradox Grand Strategy before, then the tutorial is probably absolutely useless. One thing that does worry me with games like Europa Universalis, particularly when the previous title was a decade old with, I don't know, maybe 20 DLCs, my concern is that that game had a lot of extra features and mechanics added to it in those DLCs over those years. Some of them were redundant and made the game quite bloated, but some of them were well received. And what I find problematic when the new title comes out in the series is usually developers go one of two ways. They either carry all of those mechanics and features and functions and bloat over to the new game, which means you're just playing a bloated experience from day one, or they strip it right back to what the base game was and then they intend to put most of these features back in with more DLCs over the next 10 years, and nobody wants that. So I'm going to say right off the bat here, from what I have played of EU5, it does feel like a good balance. There are definitely some mechanics in there that have come over from some EU4 DLC. It looks like there's some new stuff. Also looks like there's some stuff that's come over from Crusader Kings and Hearts of Iron and inspired by some of Paradox's other games. So let's go in and take a look. This is just going to be a super casual handful of videos where I'm just exploring, and it's just so that I can show you guys what the game is like before we get into the tutorial. There are a few things that I would advise changing in the game settings. One, the audio, because this is the loudest game ever. I'm not particularly sold on the music for this game at the moment. All of the previous Paradox games like Stellaris and Hearts of Iron, EU4, I loved the music on those, but this one's just not doing it for me right now. Performance isn't brilliant on this game. This has always been a problem with Paradox games, considering most of the game is 99% map and, well, 99% spreadsheet and 1% map. You'd think it would run quite well, but it can be a little bit choppy. But what I would recommend doing under the game is change the autosave interval. I can't remember what the default is. It's either every year or every half year. Change it to every month and then bump the number of autosaves up from 3. I've gone up to 6. Just in case it crashes, because you'll be really annoyed if you lose like 6 months worth of progress. It hasn't happened to me in EU5. I'm going from EU4 here. So let's go ahead and we'll hit the new game button. So what happens if you haven't played it before? You'll get this pop-up window, and it basically allows you to select a recommended country or play as any country. You can tick this button down here if you don't want this window to show anymore. If you do that and you want to get it back, by the way, you can just pop into the settings, and then it is under here. It's under game, and it's skip new game welcome window. So if I'd have ticked that box on that window, that would now be filled in. So we can go ahead and untick that, and then when I hit new game, it will bring this window up here. So if we just go ahead and play as a recommended country, it gives us 6 options, which 2 of them are expansionist nations, 2 are economic nations, and 2 are political nations. I'm going to go in as Castile, because that is the one that I did go in and have a look at during my sort of the tutorial. You can't change the year in this one, at least not yet. You can select any country, so let's just go ahead and hit that, just so I can show you what it looks like. I do find even the loading graphics are a little bit choppy. Now, I'm running this off an SSD, and yeah, I've got a reasonably decent PC. It's only a year or so old, but it does take its time. So now I'll be able to show you the full map. So if you're not familiar with Europa Universalis, you can basically play as any country as they were in the time when the game started, in this case, which is 1337. So you can go from anywhere up to an empire, as such as any exist at that time in history, right down to what is known as an OPM, a one province minor. So if you go ahead and look down here at what becomes the Holy Roman Empire, this is an absolute mess of little one province minors. All of these little different coloured sections are mostly single provinces, not all of them. There are some bigger nations that existed around the time. We've got Lithuania, we've got Hungary in here, we've got Kiev, we've got the Golden Horde. We probably have the most land. The Great One is there as well. So yeah, everywhere's broken up into little tiny bits and pieces. You can basically play as any of these that you want to. You can go ahead and you can observe a country, you can pick a random country. So observe just lets the game play out with the AI while you watch on. You can change the game rules here. If you want to earn achievements in this game, you have to have Iron Man enabled. Once you have Iron Man enabled, it disables console commands, basically stops you from cheating, stops you from being able to reload older saves. So every decision you make, you are stuck with. I generally don't play in Iron Man, normally because when I play, I'm recording, and if something goes wrong, I need to be able to reload the last save from the end of the last video to carry on. So I tend not to play in Iron Man anyway. And you can change all the difficulty settings for the game, both in general and in multiplayer, if you want to play multiplayer. You've also got this flavor tab as well that allows you to change the way that the different nations around the world will react. And yeah, let's just get out of there. So we are going to go in as Castile. So if you click on a country, it tells you a little bit about the country. So you can see some information such as who the ruler of the country is and their age. You can see their stats. So gone are the administrative, diplomatic and militaristic points that you had to rack up like you did in EU4. That has changed a little bit, so I'll show that when we get in there. But you can see the nation, you can see what the breakdown is in terms of culture and what the breakdown is in terms of religion in that nation. You can see the size of your armies, your population, how many locations you have. So Castile has 244 locations, which is huge. So they have 22 urban locations in total, which is a lot, and then 222 rural locations. So lots of information around here. I'm not going to go into all of it because we'll do that once we actually get in. But you can see this for different nations if you go ahead and click on them all. There's a bunch of map types in here, as you'd expect. If you mouse down over this thing at the bottom, you can see the different map types. So you've got the terrain map, which we're on now. You've also got things like the economic map or tax map, resources, raw materials map, things like that. There's just loads of them. I'm not going to go through all of them because all of these little tabs along the top, these are the subheadings. The only maps you see here along the bottom are the ones that have got the stars ticked, the favorited ones. So if you actually go through, this is all of the different map types. There is a search feature for them as well, fortunately. But yeah, it's a lot of different maps. So let's go in and we're going to play as the Crown of Castile. And here we are, and if it's the first time you've ever seen a Europa Universalis game or ever seen a grand strategy from Paradox, you're going to look at this and go, oh my God, that's a lot of clutter on the UI. And it is, it's busy, there's a lot of stuff going on. At the start of every game, you do get this pop-up that gives you a little bit of historical context about the nation that you're playing as. I notice there are a few little issues here. Some of it makes sense. The Crown of Castile was formed through the union of two constituent parts, the Kingdom of Castile and the Kingdom of Leon, when they were reunited after both titles were inherited by King Fernando III, Saint de Borgogne, in 1230. A century later, King Alfonso XI, the Avenger de Borgogne, rules without much opposition, having overcome a troubled start to his reign following the end of a long regency under his grandmother, Character. Now, Was character their name? I doubt it. I've got a feeling that this is just a missing bit of data where it's not resolving to the name of the actual person, which I find absolutely great. So you get these initial list of hints, which some of them relate to the banners at the top of the screen. And again, I'll mention what those are in a minute. So we get some starting advice for Castile. As the dominant power in the region, the Crown of Castile stands on privileged grounds for unifying Iberia under one throne. However, our administration is already stretched thin, and our control in the south is low. It barely contributes to our balance. It would be wise to consolidate our control over the current territory before we embark on further conquests. And control is a very important thing in EU5. Build roads from our capital. Locations without control are virtually useless to our administration. Build roads and bridge buildings from our capital in order to increase our proximity and therefore our control. Check proximity map mode frequently. And you've got this button down here as well. This is what you can actually click to start the tutorial. That is there. Subjugate Granada. Even if we are not in a position to own their land very effectively, we could make Granada our subject. They would rule the land on our behalf and pay monthly tribute into our treasury. We can consider annexing them once our infrastructure and technology have developed enough to allow owning the land directly. In order to annex a subject, we will need to have ruled over them for more than 10 years and enjoy good relations with them. Plus Ultra. Explorers tell of wealth beyond measure from their expeditions in India. However, embarking in such enterprises without most modern advances may prove ludicrously expensive endeavour. So basically what it's telling us to try and do here as Castile is improve our control and proximity by building roads and buildings and subjugate Granada. So we can do that. So populations demanding goods. This is a little bit like a game like Anno, for example, where your populations actually need certain manufactured goods to stay happy. And you can either manufacture them yourselves or import them through trade. I'm not going to go into all of that. Lack of a commander, underage heir, can't do anything about an underage heir, possible cabinet action. See, these are all things that are basically along here at the top that we don't have to worry too much about them. And we've got no allies, as it were, right now. So let's close this and get rid of that. Let's have a little bit of a look around the interface here and see what we have, see what you might see familiar. So the first thing you're going to notice is actually a bit different. We've got these buttons along here, these first four icons, and these are basically the what will they be called? The estates. Yes, that's right there. So these are the different estates. So you've got the Rycombria, which are basically the nobility. Then you've got the clerics, the clergy. Then you have the burghers, and then you have the commoners. So that actually has been taken a little bit from one of the expansions in Europa Universalis V, and you have to try and keep all of them happy. So that's your sort of first problem there. So there's the crown as well. There is a fifth one. So the crown is actually also considered an estate. So all taxation gets split between the different estates and the different types of people that are in them. And if you go ahead and click it, let's click on our capital province here. You can see on the population tab, again, the UI is so messy, I'm still trying to learn it. There's the population tab there. So you can see the population breakdown somewhere. If we mouse over there. Yeah, so 75% of the... So this is the county, this or the province where the yellow outline is on the map. This is where our capital city is. It's 75% peasants, 10% burghers, 8% labourers, 3.5% soldiers, and almost 2% clerics. So this is our capital city. Any city, and these might be a little bit small because of the UI scaling. So any location on the map that has a little... pentagon like this is a city. If it's got a star in the middle, it's your capital. So that's our capital city. Anything that has a square border is a town, and anything that has a circle is a rural settlement. Got our outliner on the side that shows us a few things here. So what else has changed? One thing I have noticed that's changed, if we go ahead and click on our nation, so we click on the flag, we can go and have a look at our No, it's not there. It will be under military. Let's look under the military. So we can see we've got an army. It's standing right here. It says 250 men. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be 250,000 men like it was in the previous game, and it's an abstract number. But this is actually made up of 3 armies. As you can see by me mousing over it, there's 3 different regiments. One regiment is 50 men, and which is the left flank, and then there are 2 regiments of 100 men. So the 50 is cavalry, the 200 is infantry. Now, this is actually a standing army, which means it pulls from our manpower pool, which is up here, the manpower of Castile, which is very, very low, and it costs money to maintain. Now, these armies are a lot smaller than you'd have seen in EU4, but that's because when you need an army, you can actually raise levies. If you look here, we can actually raise 49,000 men as levies from our vassals, basically our vassals and our provinces and the estates. So that's actually more like Crusader Kings, where instead of having massive standing armies, you rely on levies, but you can build standing armies. So that is one change that's in there. And it talks about control. If we go in, and many apologies, that was my dogs just deciding to go berserk at a noise outside. So it talks about control. If we go in and have a look at the control map, we can see here that closest to our capital, so our capital is 100% control, and as we move further away from the capital, the control decreases and decreases until it gets down to like 20 down here in the south. Now, the lower the control is, the smaller the levies we get from these provinces, and the lower the taxation we get from these provinces. So anything that's further away from the capital is barely giving us anything, and control is based on proximity. Here's proximity to the capital. A lot of the time this is basically just going to mirror what you see on the control map mode, although there are some other factors that can affect control, such as maybe you've just taken that land from an enemy or something like that. So all of these places that are basically red are so far away from our capital we can't effectively administer them. So what we want to do is build roads to them to make them easier to get to. You'll also find that areas on the map that run along rivers or run along plains are classed as being in closer proximity than somewhere that is behind a mountain range, because even though the place behind a mountain range might be closer geographically, it's more difficult to get to because you can't just go over the mountains, right? You have to take the long way around. Whereas if you've got somewhere that's further away but it's connected by a river, theoretically it's got easier transport access. So that's what we want to do there. So let's go ahead and just put this back onto the terrain map mode. The game is now divided into ages. We currently start off in the age of traditions. So this age gives access to government reforms, religious tolerance, agricultural cultivation, diplomatic traditions, and trade office network. Prices in markets have a range from 10% to 300% of the base price of goods. The different ages are here. So you have the age of traditions, the age of Renaissance, the age of discovery, the age of Reformation, the age of absolutionism, and then the age of revolution. So those are the different ages. And it's mostly based on which different technological advances that you can work on. There is a tech tree. If we actually click on this, and just click to open. That's what I wanted to do. There's usually a big tech tree. Why am I not seeing it? Is it here? Yep, there it is. So you've got this really, really big tech tree. Most of these are already researched here. I haven't even looked at all of these yet because there's literally hundreds of them. So these ones all start research. And we've got a few here that we can do. So organized religion is the first one because it's at the top of the tree. The other ones have prerequisites, and there's some here that are locked. So we can't do meritocracy yet. That is locked. But yeah, you can do that just from going into this panel because it shows which one you can do here. So let's go ahead and click on that. So if you're not familiar with these ribbons at the top of the screen, these are basically things that you need to take action to do. They're coloured in order of severity. So green, so you need to deal with all of them really, but green is like, yeah, low priority. Yellow is maybe you should look at that. Orange is kind of, this is kind of urgent. And red is absolutely, you need to deal with this now. So this is a green one. So we don't have any advances being researched. So we're going to research organised religion, and that will increase the max possible clerics in towns and cities by 50, and the max literacy for clergy by 5%. And even I don't know entirely yet how that's going to affect anything, but let's go ahead and click that. And then that makes that notification go away. You can right-click on the notifications to make them go away. And then you see down here on the left, we now have some more options that we can add to the queue, but we'll come back to that. Now, one thing I will point out, if we go over here to the top right, you've got this little button here that looks like a cogwheel with a dot in it, and it says automation. If you click on that, it brings up this little panel here, and this is great because this allows you to automate almost anything in the game. So if you don't want to mess around with trade, let's just click that, automate, and now the game will deal with it for me. I don't have to manually mess around with trade. If I want to have the game automatically take care of how we get raw materials, so RGO, which now I'm trying to remember what that stands for. So relevant goods. No, not relevant goods. Resource gathering operations. There we go. So resource gathering operations is anything like wood cutting and mining and, you know, farming, like harvesting wheat. That's basically getting raw goods. I can just click that button and have it done for me. Research, if I don't want to manually pick the next tech, I can just click on this and the game will do it for me. So this is really, really useful that you can just automate stuff if it's not something that you've dealt with before. Brilliant idea. Let's have a quick look at this now. We are actually making some money over here. We do have some options. We can actually mint some money to increase our gain. Now, as you increase minting, you do increase inflation. As you can see, if I keep going up, we'll eventually get into inflation. See, now we've just got a rising inflation notification here. We don't want that. So, but we do want the inflation to go down. So let's try and keep it in the negative a little bit. We can get some money that way. Let's take the fort maintenance down a little bit because we're not currently at war. That'll save us a little bit of money. Now, this does have an automation icon here, but this is automatically raised for maintenance. There's an army one as well. So what normally happens with these is if you do go into war, the game automatically puts it back up to full for you. And then you've got the taxes for the different estates. So as you can imagine, the more you tax them, the less happy they are with you, but the more money you get. Again, we can just go ahead and automate all of these, and the game will manage them for me. If I want to at any time, I can just go and manually control them. So we can do that. So now we're making a fair bit of money. We've got our markets tab here. I'm not going to worry too much about this right now. I'm going to let the game handle that for the time being. So let's go ahead and work through some of these other markers. Welcome to EU4. We have a hints panel, by the way. That's this one that the agenda panel comes up. But you do have a hints panel on the right, which is this bubble here. So if you want any particular information about what these different icons do or how different things work, probably here in the hints panel, you can search for it as well. Absolutely great. Let's get rid of that. So I'm going to dismiss that for now. Possible rivals. So we don't have too many rivals at the moment. Who do we have? We click on the country. We can click on... Let's try and remember how to do this one. There's one where you can see relationship. Nope. Is it under society? I still haven't. It's messy. Diplomacy. There we go. Diplomacy, current relations, enemies, rivals. So we haven't been rivaled yet, and we don't have any allies either. This is what this one is. Where is it? There's one here that says no allies. Intervene in a rival's war. So we want to basically get friendly with Granada. So let's go ahead and click on Granada here. Click on their flag so we can see their diplomacy, and we want friendly action. So ultimately what we want to be able to do is get improved relations with them. There is a button for this somewhere where we can improve opinion. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So this costs us monthly diplomats, minus 0.05. And you can see our monthly diplomats is over here, but it is gaining. So there's a lot of abstract numbers going on here. So we're improving relations with Granada. We probably want to try and get an alliance with Navarre, maybe. We can offer an alliance. So let's try and keep them a little bit happy. Now, Aragon will probably rival us, and so will Portugal, probably. We'll see who rivals us, and then we can use that to pick our next rivals. So, yes, we can have some more rivals. Possible cabinet actions. We don't have anybody in the cabinet now, so again, gone from EU4 are the having an administrative advisor, a diplomatic advisor, and a militaristic advisor. You can still pick what they have. So if we go appoint cabinet member, we can pick one of these people here. And, you know, let's go ahead and pick the one that's got the highest administrative ability. Let's get this guy and put him in the position there to improve our administration. One thing that has come up here is an army without a commander, which is this one, lack of a commander. So we can pick a commander, and there's one, if he's in this playthrough, yeah, this guy is 29 years old. He has 98 military skill. Doesn't have any particular special abilities. He's not like a bold fighter or an inspirational leader or a glory seeker or a prize hunter. But my word, 98 military ability. That's plus 49% combat speed and plus 19.6% army movement speed. Yes, my friend, you are now a general. Yoinked out of the monastery to go and lead an army. Excellent. Inefficient minting. So our minting efficiency is only 50% due to lack of access to needed goods, and it's decreasing the amount of money we get from minting. So we require something for that, but it's not telling me what. The commander's done. Why? Oh, is it because the Navy now also... we've got a Navy that also wants a commander. And I think that, again, just uses military power. So let's go ahead and just put this guy in. There we go. Now we have an admiral. Now we've got rid of another one of these things. We've got some unprofitable buildings. We've got some populations with needs. We've got an underage heir. Well, we can't do anything about that. Ships are repairing slowly. We can intervene in a rival war. Fine. Don't need to mess with any of that. Let's go ahead and unpause the game. Finally, you know, we're 27 minutes in, haven't even unpaused the game yet. And this is the way with EU4. EU5, already calling it the wrong name. So we can see how our opinion is improving with Granada. I'm not seeing anyone saying anyone's rivaled me yet. Oh, there we go. Rivalry declared. That's Portugal. Fine. And Aragon, as expected. We are paused now. Let's just go back in and reciprocate with those rivalries. So we can... all diplomatic actions. Did I already rival them? Losing it now. Maybe it's unilateral now. What rivalry is a hostile action? Let's type it in the search box. No, apparently there's nothing there. We can do it through this, right? Yeah, we can't declare a rivalry against them, so maybe because they've rivaled me, it works both ways. Which makes sense, right? If somebody rivals you, then you are rivals, whether you choose to be or not. Okay. Okay, so that's a little different. So let's unpause again. We're not working on any missions. We're trying to remember where the missions are for this. So we've got our estates, we've got our parliament. Not going to mess around with any of that yet. We've got our economy, markets and trading. This is all on automation right now, so we don't have to worry too much about this. As is production, society. So this basically shows us all of our different cultures within our country. These are all of our diplomatic actions that we can do. Military, geopolitics, and advances. Why am I missing the missions? There are missions. They were in the tutorial, and now I'm completely at a loss as to where they are. Like I said, this is the problem. It's so busy. The UI. Ledger, find, automation, hints, agenda. Okay, let's... No, it's not even giving me the option for it. Where are the missions? Okay, well, if anybody knows, please let me know. The game hasn't told me yet that I don't have any missions. And this is certainly why you can't go into a game like this and go, right, I've got the game today, I'm going to go and start making a tutorial of it. Because there's just so much to learn. But yeah, you normally have these missions that you can do that basically help you with your... You get rewards, basically, for achieving certain things. Actions and relations. Known countries, organizations. No thank you. There's military. So see our armies and navies. Nope, I have absolutely no idea where that is gone. Excellent. What have we got here? That's our stability, our legitimacy, and our prestige. These are all things that carry over from EU4. We can see our population. You'll also notice how the map mode changes as you mouse over things, which isn't great because the window is so huge it overlaps the screen anyway. War exhaustion, we've got our manpower and our maximum sailors. Okay, let us carry on then. You see our current research. So I'm running at speed 3, just until we see what's happening here. Our prestige is really low. It is going up. I mean, we could... do you know what? I can afford to have the forts up, because having the forts up does actually increase. I mean, it costs us a lot more money, sure. But that will actually help with the prestige. Another couple of pop-ups here. Buildings missing inputs. So this will be a production building. We can actually see by mousing over it that we're missing... the Burgos market needs books, fine cloth, jewellery and ivory. The Sevilla market needs copper, clay, naval supplies and fine cloth. So you can start looking at things like that. So let's say we want to get clay. So we can go down here and we can click on the raw materials and we can find clay. So clay's the red color tile down here. And if we click on one, it does highlight the other. Well, if you mouse over one, it does highlight the others, but it's kind of hard to see. There is more clay around somewhere. There's one down here, but not in my territory. Yeah, there we go. Now they're highlighting. There's another one up there, up the top. But this is the only one in my land, and it's a fair distance away. But if we click on this, then we have this button here, the clay. This is how it's being mined. Our geo level is 1 of 10. So we can go ahead and click on this, and then it'll start to improve that. It'll basically... allow it to employ more people, and therefore we'll be able to harvest more clay. And it tells us how much it's going to cost, 51.92 ducats, which is not inexpensive, but let's go ahead and do that anyway. And then there's roads, which is another important thing. So let's just go back to the default map mode, because it has told us that we do need to start building roads, right? So let's go ahead to the capital. So if we build the capital, there is a roads builder button down here. When you click on any province, there's a road builder button. So if we go ahead and click on that, and then we can go, okay, where do you want to build a road to? And it'll tell us how much it's going to cost. I mean, look at this road's going to cost 255 ducats. And that's not cheap. If we want to build a road down here, it's going to cost us 600 ducats. But we do need to build a road, right? What if we wanted to get down to Toledo? That's expensive, okay? But let's do it. That's a hugely expensive road. That's half of our treasury gone straight away. But now you can see all of these circles. This is the building progress that's going on. So we're literally building a road sort of through the mountains. You'll also see there's a circle down here on the upgrade that we're doing on the construction in Carmona. all of these notifications down here. Can we get rid of these by right-clicking? No, that's open settings. Still really confused as to where the missions have gone. Possible diplomatic actions. Okay. With anybody in particular. We could probably, if we don't already have one, think about getting a CB against one of our neighbours so we could attack them. Like Portugal, for example. So we could declare a war against them, but we don't have a CB, which would be a bad idea. So what we could do is we can go in and we can create a CB. We can't afford to do any of these because it lacks a spy network. Okay. So apparently there is. Oh, that's a no CB. Yeah, we don't want to have a no CB war against them. That would be bad. How do we put a spy in there? Covert actions. Build spy network. Okay, let's build a spy network in Portugal, and I suppose we should probably do the same thing over here. So let's build a spy network in Aragon. So a little bit of a change as to how you need to create CBs now. So we're approving opinion down here, hopefully. Building a spy network here and here. Navarra is currently building masonry with the look of things. Okay, that's fine. Rivalry declared from Navarre. Really? I thought we had an alliance with them. Okay. Right, what have we got here? The 100 Years' War. Okay, so this is the big war between England and France and all of their little allies that are be coming in to start that one. So this is basically yeah, not going to end well for either England or France. I mean, historically didn't end well for either of us. Yeah, a little bit confused here. So we were what is our relationship with you? Once I've worked out this UI, it will be fine. This is my diplomacy. I want to see theirs. Yeah, so they are now an enemy. Okay. Okay. Fine. Can I see my allies? Do I have any allies? Do you have any allies? No, it's still giving me my own. I want to see yours. Show me yours. There we go. List of the international organization. I don't need that. They're your rivals. They're your enemies. So rivals are who you've rivaled. Enemies are who have rivaled you. Okay. And you have a truce with us. So have a truce with Castile until the 23rd of June, 1343, which is basically 6 years from now. So we were allied. They've broken the alliance with us by rivaling us, but that creates a truce. So I can't go straight into attacking them. I know you can't go straight into attacking me. Declaring war while having a truce will have the aggressor suffer a 50 stability hit. You also notice now that stability is no longer just positive 1, 2, 3, 0 or negative 1, 2, 3. It's now more of a sliding scale, which is interesting. So I can't attack them straight away. Okay. Well, that is something to look at in the next video. We can sort of gear up. They'll be really, really easy to take before we start moving on to bigger wars with the likes of Portugal and Aragon. What we probably should do, though, is I guess we can build a spy network, because that doesn't technically break the truce. Embassy established. Brilliant. Okay, right. Well, I'm going to leave the video there because we're already 40 minutes in, and I do appreciate with games like EU4 that it takes a long time to go in and explain a lot of this stuff. You know, there's a lot happening, really, and that's possibly the problem. And yeah, I am fumbling my way through this because I'm trying to remember stuff from the tutorial, and I haven't played EU4 for ages either, so a lot of it is still quite rusty, and I'm trying to compare the two in my head. But so far, I think this is going to be a game that I'm going to spend a lot of time with, so I'm really, really looking forward to getting my teeth into it. And I had this exact same problem with Europa Universalis 4. When I first started playing it, it was really, really overwhelming. I didn't know if I'd ever get to grips with it. I didn't know if I'd ever be any good at it. And it took a lot of time watching other people's videos, reading documentation, experimenting and playing. And over time, I started to learn more and more about it, became more and more comfortable with how it worked, and it became such a fun experience once I knew what I was doing. And I admit, I'm far from the best EU4 player in the world. I'm actually quite terrible, but I knew the game well enough to have a really, really good time with it. And that's what I want to do with the tutorial series, is take somebody who hasn't played the game before, who may have never played the previous games before, and to be able to explain it to them well enough that they can play it and enjoy it. And then it's up to them to go off and get better at it and learn the more detailed, deeper intricacies, because that's half of the fun of these grand strategy games. It's going in and having an idea of how to play it and learning as you go and discovering new things that you can do. That is where the fun lies in these games. At least it is for me, but I believe that there's a lot of people out there like me with that same sort of train of thought. So speaking of trains of thoughts, as mine is starting to derail, I am going to say goodbye here. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video and you want to see some more Europa Universalis 5. Please do like, comment, especially if you can remember where those mission tab is, because I have no idea. And a big thank you to my supporters. I really do appreciate it, and you'll see them in the end slate at the end of the video. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and until then, goodbye for now.